Hello everybody, and welcome to Understanding Happiness, Science and the Buddha. What is this podcast? This is an academic project researched, written, and produced by me, Daniel Aaron Levy. I'm a medicine student at the University of Bristol, and I wanted to create this project to explore a subject that I think is more relevant than any other to listeners like yourself. Happiness. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, over the course of this podcast, I want to walk you guys through the topic of happiness and, as the title suggests, help convey some understanding. Really, what I really want to do is take you guys on a journey. But the question is, what kind of journey? Now, before we go through understanding happiness, I want to talk about how we can understand ourselves, walking through how we can conceptualize and soothe our own minds. Then, we're going to break down what happiness actually is and what are the different types of happiness before comprehensively exploring how we can achieve and integrate all of these different types. And along the way, we'll be constantly going through some practical advice and everyday wisdom. So you can start translating all this theory and understanding into real emotional change for your benefit. Now, to answer some of these key questions, we're going to be using most up-to-date, reliable science. But we're going to be doing more than that. In understanding happiness, I want to synthesize science and the humanities, hence the title. Now, I've used the Buddha as a symbol of the humanities side of the podcast, but we're not just going to be exploring Buddhism. We're going to be exploring multiple belief systems, multiple thinkers, and multiple philosophies, all to give the best, most comprehensive overall understanding. Because with a subject as complex as happiness, I think we really need to take an interdisciplinary approach. I think we need to gain insight through lots of different lenses to gain a full colored picture. And by combining scientific evidence with ancient wisdom, we can sieve out the wrong historical ideas that aren't helpful and integrate the ones that are. And we can integrate them into a comprehensive, unified understanding of happiness. Now, this project is 5 episodes, and they can all be enjoyed and understood alone. Each provides its own interlinked but independently valuable set of insights. Now, I do think that this project works best in this order because I want it to feel like a journey. I want it to feel like a tailor-made guide that I've made to try and walk you guys through an opaque, complex subject in a clear, detailed, but concise way. But I want to emphasize that this project, Understanding Happiness, is fundamentally about you guys. It's about helping you guys become happier. And I've designed it so that you can engage with it in any way that you choose. You can engage this project in the way that feels best for you. Now, episode 1 is about how we can understand our psyche and conceptualize our mind. We're going to be exploring how the brain and the consciousness within that brain evolved, how it relates to our body, and how all of this is an essential foundation to understanding happiness. Episode 2 is about how happiness itself evolved and what for. We talk about the role of neurotransmitters and other measurable correlates in the body of how we feel. We answer, how has natural selection shaped how we find happiness, and how can we use that knowledge to help us achieve it? Episode 3 talks about the scientific study of happiness. How can we define and break down happiness? We explore how different fields and theories take a complex, multifaceted topic like happiness and shape each of these facets into ideas and concepts that we can not just understand, but help integrate into our own belief system. Now, episode 4 is perhaps the most important one because it's a grand synthesis of all the different things in life which actually make us happy. And in episode 4, we draw upon all the understanding, all the research, all the preceding episodes to generate a unifying, general formula for what you, the listener, really need to be happy. And along the way, as part of that miniature journey of episode 4, we also examine the role of genetics and nature versus nurture. And finally, in episode 5, we explore what the meaning of life really is. Where can we find purpose? Why is that so important? And how can we transcend our own boundaries to become the best possible versions of ourselves? This is a very ambitious project. It's the culmination of years of interest in reading in lots of different fields. In the Spotify bio of this podcast, I list some of these key books I've read that have gone into formulating this unified understanding of happiness. I'm also going to include a link to a literature review I've made as part of this project, which relates to happiness. And finally, I'm including a link to my radio show Polymath, which covers several of the topics that we touch on here in our big interdisciplinary journey to help make you happier. And that, making you happier, is what understanding happiness, what this podcast is all about. I've decided to do this because I want to share some of the stuff, some of the insight that I've gained that has personally changed my life. This is a very personal project for me, and it's been a real pleasure, a real privilege to get to make. Now, with all that being said, I really hope you enjoy. Thank you. Now let's get started.